Hey y'all, happy Sunday. I wanted to share some bonus content today in the form of a Yin and Restorative stillness practice. If you've never practiced Yin Yoga before, what you should know is that they are long held stretches, predominantly on the floor. So if you're not comfortable being on the floor, please use caution. What I can do is I can take some snapshots of modifications using a chair for you as an option. It's not a standing practice at all because we do hold the poses for 2 to 3 minutes at a time, and it's not a heavily propped practice either. So what Yin is designed to do is to release the connective tissue between our muscles, and so holding those poses allows that tissue just to let go. So it's bound and tight between our muscles, but as we're stretching them and holding these poses, it stretches out and lets us release too. So what you may find in Yin is that if you start in one point, as you're holding the pose, you may notice that you can go a little deeper into it as our hold period goes on. Restorative is very similar and a lot of the shapes look similar. We also hold those poses for a long time, and they're actually a little bit longer, like 3 to 5 minutes. And in a more advanced practice, might even hold them for 10 minutes. We're going to stick to that like 3 to 5 minute window today. Restorative is different from Yin in that restorative is a heavily propped practice, meaning we want to use as many props as we can to rest our bodies on and let the props do the work so that we're not busy holding up our bodies. And what that does is it lets our nervous system, our parasympathetic system, relax because it doesn't have to do any work. The parasympathetic system is the one that governs our fight or flight mode. And so throughout our day, we're always in this fight or flight decision. It's like, shit, should I run or do I stay and fight? Restorative really says you don't have to do anything, just be here. And so that gives our system time to relax and rest. And it's really... I love the stillness practices even more than I like the flow and movement practices. You'll notice I keep my long sleeves on and I've got socks on. One of the things you might notice in the stillness practices, especially as we're holding these poses, your body temperature will drop because we're not actively moving a lot. So you might want to have some socks handy or some long sleeves or maybe even a blanket, especially in restorative. That could be really nice. Some of the props you might want, I've got my trusty couple of towels here that I'll probably use a little bit later and roll and unroll 3 or 4 times, as one does who's OCD. I've also got my blocks here. If you don't have styrofoam blocks, you may want to look for like a stack of books. We won't use the blocks as much today. I'm also sitting up on my Big Mama bolster. If you don't have a bolster, like some firm pillows or really thick, sturdy blankets or comforters that you could roll up, may be helpful later in the practice. I also have a scarf here. I could also use a towel for the way I'm going to use the scarf, or a strap if you do have some yoga props handy. And then the last thing, I mentioned a blanket and I didn't grab mine, so I'm going to do that. And then we'll get started. All right, so just like our movement practice, we want to do centering that says, okay, I'm here and now I'm going to practice. So today I want to invite you to come for a comfortable seat, up on a bolster, maybe if sitting on the floor flat isn't comfortable for you. If you're sitting on the floor, you cross your legs, your knees are really high, the bolster may let your knees drop a little bit. If sitting cross-legged isn't comfortable, stretch one leg out or both legs out in front of you. Just find what works best for your body. I'm a tuck one leg up kind of person, so we're going to go with that today. Let your hands come to your belly. And And I'll talk a little bit more about why I'm doing that in just a second. If you're comfortable, let your eyes drift closed or take a soft gaze to the ground in front of you. Sit up with a tall, straight, strong spine. Lift your head and your chin, just a touch, reaching your crown to the sky. Let the muscles in your face relax and your belly be soft. Just notice your breath. As you inhale, feel literally underneath your hands your belly rise. As you exhale, notice your belly fall. Inhale, belly rise. Exhale, belly falls. Just notice that through 2 or 3 cycles of your own normal breath. Don't try to control it or change it or lengthen it or shorten it. Just notice it. Together, we're going to take 3 clearing breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Inhale deep. Exhale everything out the sigh. Inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Let your hands fall to your lap. You can let your eyes open. If you see me futzing with my phone, just know that I'm not texting anybody. I'm just changing the music here for us and getting us some background. There we go. So just like in our movement practice, we want to start with warm up. And so today I like to have a block just because my arms are short and my hands don't reach the ground. If you reach your hands out and notice yours don't reach the ground, you may want to tuck something underneath them, a block or a bolster. We're going to start with it on our left side. Inhale, reach our arms up to the sky. As we exhale, let that left hand fall to the block. Reach the right arm up and over our head, arching along the right side of our body. Try to keep your elbow and shoulders stacked above your hip in a line. Notice if you're doing this stretch, your elbow has a tendency to come forward. So just lean it back so it's more in line with your shoulders and hips. You want to feel this stretch from your tip of your finger all the way down to your hip. You want to glue that right hip down. It has a tendency to try to pop up. We want to glue it down as we're stretching. We're going to inhale back up to center, switch the block to the other side. Exhale, reach the left hand up and over towards the right. Again, glue that left hip down. Notice if your arm is creeping forward. Kind of nudge it back into that line above your shoulders and hips. Stretch through your left side. Come back up to center. We're going to do some seated cat-cow. And when you think of seated cat-cow, we want to think of like a cow with the sway back, so the dip in our back and a head up, or like a cat with a head tucked and the arched back. You know how when you piss off a cat, it arches its back and hisses. That's the cat shape we'll make. So we'll start with cow. Let your hands come to your lap. Again, your legs can be straight out in front of you or crossed or a mix, whatever feels comfortable. And feel free to change at any time. We're going to inhale for cow, look up, arch your back inward to create that dip in our back. As we exhale for cat, we're going to arch our back out, tuck our chin down like we're hissing like a cat. If you feel like hissing, please go ahead and feel free to hiss. Inhale, look up, arch up. Exhale, round in, tuck in, arch back. Inhale, look up, shine your chest forward. Exhale, round in, tuck in, give it a good old hiss. just like a cat. We're going to do 3 more rounds of that with your own breath. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, round in for cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale to cat. Last one. Inhale, look up. Exhale, arch in. And we're going to come to a neutral spine. So we're going to start with our shoulders this morning. And you can do this in a chair along a wall, but you would place the chair sidewards like this. And when we switch sides, you'll also turn the chair around. And so the shape we're going to make is to put one arm out on the ground and then use the other hand to prop up against it. So in a chair like this, you would put a hand against the wall behind you and lean as close as you can to let the wall do the stretching for you. For those of you who are comfortable on the ground, I'm going to show that version. We're going to come onto our bellies. And if being on your belly isn't comfortable for you, if there's any expectant moms, then I would suggest the chair version. We don't want those bellies down on the ground if they shouldn't be. If you find as you roll over, your low back talks to you, mine does that sometimes, you can put a rolled up blanket underneath your ankles, and that can alleviate some of the stress. So I'm going to reach my left arm out straight, 90 degrees from my shoulder. I'm going to use my right hand kind of like a kickstand to roll my body up onto my side just until I feel a sensation. I don't want to overdo it and wrench my shoulder out, and I don't want to feel any pain. I just want to feel sensation. And I want to see a timer, so I'm going to grab my phone. Okay. So go ahead. We're going to hold this for about 2 minutes. And we want to try to find stillness. So find a place where you can feel the sensation of your shoulder. We just want to go to an edge and then maybe back off a little bit. So if at any point this gets too intense, roll back flat. If you want to feel a little bit more sensation, push up farther. This is about my sweet spot. If your brain starts to play tricks and games with you like mine does, I start thinking about all the millions of things that I should be doing instead of practicing yoga. Our brains like to do that, they should all over us. You should. You're right where you're meant to be. And so to quiet my brain or to try to give it some relaxing space, I will often focus on my breath. And that's noticing where I'm feeling the breath. Usually that's just the tip of my nose as it comes in cool air, exhaling out the warmer air. For some of you, it may be in the back of your throat or even in your belly. But if you focus on the breath and what you feel on the inhale and then your exhale, kind of gives your brain a chance to take a break. We're going to roll to the other side. So gently roll back to flat. Bring your left arm in gently. Stretch your right arm out. And then use your left hand as the prop to roll up onto your right side. If at any time this gets to be uncomfortable, you give yourself permission to roll back to your belly or to come out of it. Focus on the breath, your inhale and your exhale. Maybe you'll choose to say to yourself on your inhale, I am. As you exhale, here. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. When you're ready, we're going to release the pose on that side, roll back to our bellies. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, or maybe you want to stack them in front of you to rest your forehead down or one cheek. We just want to give our arms, our shoulders a minute to rebound from that stretch. For our next pose, we're going to go the other way. So we rotated externally that time. We're going to rotate our shoulders internally this time. There are a couple of ways you can do it. I'll show you both. The way that most people will teach this is to be up on your knees, and because my knees are talking to me frequently, I'm going to use a little bit of extra padding. You're going to come up to tabletop or to all fours. Your knees should be underneath your hips. Your shoulders should be over your hands. We're going to reach an arm up to the sky and thread it. Reach the right arm up, thread it underneath the left, and then come to rest down. So I don't find this version particularly comfortable, and so I stay on my belly and do the same thing. So I'll reach my right arm up, and I'll thread it underneath my left. And then I let my belly rest flat down. So I'm still getting that shoulder stretch, but it's not as hard on my knees, and this just feels better for my body. You can explore and find which version feels comfortable or more comfortable to you. And then we'll settle in for a couple of minutes, holding this shoulder stretch in this way. You need a pillow under your head, stack your blankets or grab something there. Kind of just rest mine down weirdly, but comfortably, strangely enough. Take a big inhale through your nose. Exhale everything out through your mouth. We're going to release that pose by pressing up with our left hand, unwinding our right arm, stretch it out just a little bit in a counter, and bring it back under us. And I'm going to sit up on my elbows just for a minute so we can do the same pose on the other side. So reach your left hand up this time, and we're going to thread it underneath our right hand and reaching as far as we can underneath until we can settle back down flat. And so often when we get still, not only does our brain should all over us,
we sometimes experience and feel all the things. Because some of us will, as humans, as we tend to do, our brains are designed to think. And many of us are superheroes at overthinking. I am myself certainly an overthinking superhero. And so when we get still, that can be a shock to the brain sometimes of, wait, there's a million things I should be doing and I want to go, go, go. And when we finally get still and our brain says, oh, okay, it can bring up a lot of emotions that maybe we didn't expect. And if you experience that, just know that you're not alone, and it's pretty common, as a matter of fact. And it's not good or bad, and it's not good or bad if you don't have that experience. It just is. And just notice what came up for you today as we're practicing. And take just another couple of 30 seconds here in this pose. Inhale through your nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. And coming out of this pose, you're just going to again push up with your right hand, unwind your left. We want to let our shoulders rebound just a little. So cross your arms in front of you. Rest one cheek or your forehead on your hands. And so we're going to transition over to our backs. So it's really simple. Just roll over to your back. And if laying flat on your back doesn't feel good for you, it doesn't feel good for me, so I always keep my knees bent. That's certainly an option. And if being on your back doesn't feel good, just know that most of the rest of this practice we're going to be on our back or seated. So I'll show you some different options with this next pose. So we want to introduce ourselves, or we want to get some stretch into our hips. And so to do that, go ahead and lay flat on your back and place your feet flat on the floor, your knees bent. You're going to lift your right leg, and you can grab it either behind the knee, or because that doesn't always work for me, I also like to use my scarf or a strap around the center of my foot. And I'm just going to stretch my left leg out and bring and hold my left foot in. And this actually releases my lower back, which feels really good. And again, I'm just using the scarf to give me longer arms. I have really short arms. So this lets my lower back release, and we're just going to hold this here for about 30 seconds. Inhale, you're going to bend your left leg again and your foot flat on the floor. We're going to let the right leg go. Switch that scarf, lift up our left leg, hug it in, or use the strap or scarf to make our arms longer, hook it around our left leg, stretch our right leg out. It also feels better for me to slide my hip out. You may be more comfortable with it higher. Play around and see what feels good to you. Just going to be here 30 seconds or so. As you inhale, go ahead and rebend the right knee, let your foot go flat. Let your left leg return to the ground. We're going to do a figure four, or
This is also a version instead of king pigeon. You're going to lift your right ankle over your left knee. And again, because I need to make my arms longer, actually I'm going to do this in a little different order. I'll lift my left leg back up, loop over my foot, go ahead and place that back down. Then I'm going to cross my right ankle over my left knee and lift my left leg up. This is an option, or holding your thigh behind your knees with both hands, or actually I'm going to turn around and use the wall here in a minute. And you might feel this stretch really big in the right hip. The closer in you bring your thigh, you just want to find stillness here. I'm going to flip around and show you the version on the wall where I should have started. Speaking of should. So I'm just going to scoot up to the wall kind of close. Sometimes you have to scooch a little bit. Let my left leg rest there. My right ankle, left knee. And then I can hold this much easier than trying to hold on to the weight of my foot, my leg with the scarf. So this is a pose that you can easily do in a chair as well if you look at the components. So you place your left foot firmly on the ground, or a block or books to raise it up to you. You want your left foot firm. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. And then you might fold forward if you need to intensify that stretch in your right hip. If your mind wanders or starts making lists like mine will do now and then, or starts to should you can come back to that mantra we did earlier of inhale, I am, exhale, here. Or you can also just focus on your inhale and your exhale and notice the count. Is it inhale, 1, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3? Is it the same count for both? Is it different? If it's different, see if you can make that the same, whether that's a 2 count or a 3 count or a 4 count or a 5 count, whatever is comfortable for you. But see if you can make your breaths even. We'll be here for another minute or so. Wherever you are, take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Uncross your right leg. Let your right foot come to the wall or the ground. And now take your left ankle and cross it over to your right knee. If you need to give it a hand, go ahead and do that. Always be gentle and kind with your joints. It may feel different on this side, so honor that. And exhale, we'll settle back into the pose on this side. It's always interesting to me that the same pose can feel so vastly different from the right side to the left side. And then even from day to day or practice to practice. And so that's where learning to listen to what your body cues are giving you, where you're feeling the sensation or the intensity is important. So for me, I know my left knee is a little bit more tender, and so I want to make sure that I'm flexing my left foot to protect my knee. And then I still want the intensity, so you'll notice that I might push up with my right foot to bring a little bit more stretch to my hip while still protecting my knee with my flexed foot. And so that's what makes this pose an active pose. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. If at any time you feel discomfort, either lessen the intensity and come out of the pose a bit, or come completely out. You have the invitation to do what's best for your body. There's no judgment. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Inhale through your nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Go ahead and release your left leg back to the wall. Go ahead and scoot backwards a little bit, create a little bit more space. We just want to let your feet rest to the floor. We want to let our hips rebound just a few minutes before our next pose. Maybe windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And then just still that movement and rest. Maybe spread your feet as wide as the mat. Let your knees rest together if that feels comfortable for you. When you're ready, move your feet back in. Hug your knees into your chest. We're going to roll a little bit, massage our low back. Maybe roll front and back, side, side. I like side, side best. When you're ready, you can either roll onto one side and push up to a seat, or if it works for you, you can just roll yourself up into a seat. We're going to move into our last yin pose, which is butterfly. And so for this, just let your legs out long in front of you for a minute. Maybe shake them. Give them a good wiggle. And then you want to plant your feet on the floor. Bring your feet together and let your knees fall out. If your knees are not or up in the air, we want them to relax. So maybe roll up a towel or two and relax. Let them rest, or the block if you have it. We want to let those muscles release in this pose. So certainly support your knees. You can also move your feet farther out away from you or farther back in. There's no right or wrong. It's just, again, what feels right for you. Sit up tall, the tall spine. As you exhale, walk your hands forward. Doesn't have to be very far forward. You want to keep your abs in your back engaged here. We want to feel the stretch really in our inner thighs and our hips. We're going to exhale and find that place of stillness. This is one of the poses where I really notice that tissue, the fascia, that's the word I've been searching for. That's where I really notice the fascia releases the longer I hold the pose, because I'm actually able to sink lower as the time goes. There's not a goal of sinking lower. It's just what I notice. And I'll be interested to hear if you notice it too. Get adjusted and comfortable in this pose. If having your feet in isn't comfortable, slide them out a little bit and notice if that changes where you feel the sensation. My other technique that I use in Yin to try to quiet my brain is to direct my breath to where I feel the sensations. So in this pose, like I said, it's really in my hips and my inner thighs, and so I really breathe into those spaces where I feel it. And I can feel my breath expanding my muscles and then contracting as I exhale. And if the mantra doesn't work, or just focusing on the breath, maybe if you're focusing on the breath and the sensation together, that'll help that busy mind of yours let go a little bit more. If at any time this becomes uncomfortable on your knees, again, walk your hands back up and stretch your legs out in front of you. That's perfectly okay. Wherever you are, come back to your breath. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. When you're ready, walk your hands back and push up to seated. Be gentle here. Take your hands the outside of your thighs and lift them up. You're going to stretch them out again. Give them a little roly-roly. And let that sensation just rebound. We're going to move into the restorative with a pose that I really, really like, and is a super obvious name, which I also really love. It's called legs up a wall, which is exactly what it sounds like. So for this pose, you're going to want to scoot pretty close to the wall. And you're just going to lay down, and as you do, you're going to lift your legs up the wall. That's right. And so you want your hips as close to the wall as you can get them. So you scoot in a little bit more. And so you let the wall hold your legs up. It lets your hips relax. It lets all that blood and lymphatic fluid that's usually flowing downward flow back up. This pose is just magic. After a long day of sitting or walking or being bent over a desk, it's just one of my favorites for letting go. And you can do the active version of this pose too, just simply by moving into the middle of the room and letting your legs be up like they are without the support of the wall. But doing it against the wall makes it more restorative. And then my body doesn't have to do anything. The wall is doing the work. So notice the sensations in your body as your legs are here on the wall. Let's see if you can breathe into relaxing. So as you inhale, let your ankles relax, and exhale. Inhale, on your exhale, relax your knees. And you inhale, exhale, let your thighs relax. Inhale, exhale, let your hips relax and your seat further into those sockets and into the ground. Inhale, relax your lower back. Inhale, exhale, relax your upper back and your shoulders and your head. If you thought our brains got active and overthinking and shooting us to death while we were in Yin, you might notice in the periods of rest, it tries to engage even more. It's like the 2-year-old who always wants their mom's attention. Their brain is fighting, like, we need to do this, we need to go do that. But rest is so critical for letting us perform at our best. It's good for our bodies. It's good for our nervous system. It was really in these rest and stillness practices that I found really helped my own mental health and helped me with the anxiety and managing anger and having more patience. And that was the surprise and delight for my practice. So as your brain tries to make its grocery lists or start creating lists of all the things you need to do at work tomorrow, see if you can invite it to just breathe and focus on the breath and letting your body relax and just be right where you are. And if you need that mantra, come right back to it. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. We'll be here for another 30 seconds or so. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Ever so gently roll onto your side. Let your legs come down off the wall. Taking all the time you need. We're going to push up to sitting for our last restorative pose. So for this pose, you'll need the firm pillow or the bolster, or maybe even a couch cushion that's usually got some nice firmness to it. You're going to put that perpendicular or long ways towards your mat, the way I am here, and you're going to bring your right hip up against it. Now, I find this a little too flat, so I like to elevate the edge using one of my blocks. You could also do that using your books as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to scoot up next to it, stack my knees. I'm going to sit like this so I can reach my hand, my right arm up tall, my back straight. I'm going to reach my right arm to the right side of my bolster, bring my left arm beside it, and I'm going to twist with my right hip against it, and I'm going to lower down. This is where I wanted my blanket as an extra pillow and support. I'm going to let this bolster hold my weight. Your knees can be stacked, or you may choose doe legs. And doe legs, for a little bit deeper stretch or twist, is taking your right foot to your left knee and let your left knee rest behind. Again, you want the bolster to do all the work of holding your body up, so you can just rest your hands on the ground. Use a blanket if you need a little bit more support, or a bolster. Inhale. Exhale, let everything go. You want to try to settle into stillness. If you're still futzing with the props and we want to get them into the right place, feel free to do that. But you want to be able to relax so that you're not holding up the weight of your body. Let the props do the work on the ground below you. Again, your body has nothing else to do. Your brain has nothing else to do. And come back to that mantra of I am, and we exhale here. We'll be here for just another minute or so. Inhale through the nose, I am. Exhale here. Inhale, I am. Exhale here. Just going to give us our quiet music for the rest of our practice. Wherever you are, come back to your breath. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Gently push into your hands and come back up to seated. Just enough to roll around and switch sides. I'm going to move my prop setup, but you don't have to. Just move so your left hip is relaxing against your pillow or bolster. You can come to a tall seat, stretch your back and spine nice and tall. It's always important to have a straight spine before you twist. So create as much room sitting up tall. Reach your left hand up. Exhale, start to twist. Reach it to the left side of the bolster or your props. And then we're going to twist and let your torso rest over the props, stacking it up as much as you need so you can see I like my blanket on top of mine. We're going to exhale and rest down. Just like on the other side, your knees could be stacked or doe legs for a little deeper twist. And we're just going to settle in and let the ground and our cushions do the work as we twist on that side. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. 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 Wherever you are, come back to your breath. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. With as little as effort as possible, taking all the time you need. Push into your hands and lift up just enough to move your props out of the way. And go ahead, make your way to your back. Maybe a bolster under your knees if that feels good, or if laying on your back doesn't feel good at all, you can always roll over onto your side with a little pillow. We're going to move into our final pose of the day, Savasana, taking our rest, noticing what's changed in the course of our practice. I'm going to let you guys stay laying down. And I'm going to sit up so I can talk just a touch. Notice what's changed and where you feel that in your body throughout the course of this stillness practice. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. Wherever you are, come back to your breath. Take a big inhale through your nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Wiggle your fingers and your toes to bring a little movement back into your body. Reach your feet out, your arms up overhead for a great stretch. When you're ready, roll onto one side or the other, pausing there for just a moment. When you're ready, push yourself back up to a comfortable seated position. We'll close out our practice the way we began, in an easy seated pose. Let your hands rest on your lap. Let your eyes drift closed or soft gaze the floor in front of you. Inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Let this last breath be the deepest of your practice. Inhale through the nose. Exhale everything out with a sigh. Bring your hands to heart center. Bow your chin. Acknowledge the work you did here today, even though we barely moved at all. There has been a shift. The light in me honors and sees the light in you. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.